let us start things off with Z Frank. We are going to start off with Z Frank, talking about the echidna, which I have no fucking clue what this is. Me and Alana? Thank you, Kinito. Thank you for putting me on the same level as Alana. I don't think I'm anywhere close to that level yet, but I'm very honored that you think of me that way. Okay, chat, I have no idea what the hell an echidna is, and I'm probably mispronouncing it, but hopefully Z Frank will correct me on this. So, the militarized whoopee cushion? This should be interesting. So, echidna. Okay, echidna. Echidna. Oh boy. And Z Frank will correct me on the pronunciation because I'm probably butchering it. So let's go.
This episode is sponsored by Brilliant. The story of Oliver the short-beaked echidna begins here. A single fertilized egg. Well, technically, I suppose it started here. Oliver's parents, Jacko and Charlotte, were in a back alley and had just shared half a can of Foster's, which is quite a bit for an echidna, by the way. And let's just say that passion got the better of them. Got the whole thing on a security camera. But you notice that it's a bit of a delicate process, which takes some time. They are echidnas, after all. Look a bit like the feather duster from a fetish club. So let's just...
Okay, and you guys call me horny and lewd. See, Frank just called this thing a feather duster from a fetish club. Where's the bonk for Z Frank? Me! Z Frank!
say that the Echidna Kama Sutra doesn't exactly have that many pages in it. More like a pamphlet. But listen, besides navigating the pointy bits, you've got the whole four-headed penis thing going. And to avoid confusion...
Wait. Four-headed pee-pee. These things have a four-headed pee-pee. Oh shit. Stupid me. I forgot to turn on mixed up. Sorry. No wonder shit wasn't acting right. Okay, shall we continue?
Fusion, I don't mean a penis with a forehead. That's just normal. I mean that in its flaccid state, the male echidna's penis looks a bit like how they might grow craisins. It looks like what happens when you ask a witch to bring a fart to life. For some time, this four-headedness was...
What the fuck? That looks like an alien is growing out of this poor animal. Oh, God. Oh, dear God. Tanashi, I'm not a doctor and I don't play one on TV, so I ain't looking at it like a doctor. Well, yeah, and that's what they... Oh, second, I noticed that too. The top claws are distinctly blunt compared to the foot claws. The back foot claws.
It's a bit of a mystery. Seems the
Sorry.
Bits would only require 2. And that's when one scientist decided
wait,
to have a bone in it. Only humans that I know of doesn't have a bone in it.
Only require 2. And that's what was a bit of a mystery, seeing as the female's bits would only require 2. And that's when one scientist decided to do the obvious and just ask. Turns out echidnas can't talk, so real shit scientist, by the way. Anyway, another science hippie decided to take...
Oh, dear God, is this thing prehensile? Is this thing prehensile? Oh, God, that scared me.
Take a closer look. It turns out when the echidna penis is erect, it looks like a punk snail singing opera. But you can see here that only 2 of the 4 tips become erect, and the whole thing rotates a bit, so functionally it becomes a 2-headed penis. Just right for the female counterparts. And these alternate. One pair becomes erect and ejaculates, and then the other. It's sort of like, it'll come to me, kill me. Now this double-barrel shot dong...
See, Frank. Good night, Tysel. Have a good night.
...seems to be controlled by blood flow from a single vein that splits into 2 right before the tips. Anyway, back to the alley where the pair are now smoking a cigarette and Jacko's sperm is rushing on its way to Charlotte's uteruses. Echidna sperm, it turns out, are sort of into carpooling. They twist together in these bundles that end up moving faster than an individual sperm would. It's smart. That's what.
So this is like what we saw when we watched the opossum. This is very much like when we saw the opossum, where it was where the sperm cells would sort of join together and function much more efficiently. This is just being done on a much broader scale.
What happens when you put your heads together? Get it? No. When they go, it looks a bit like a shuttlecock. And quite frankly, this is what that word should mean. I'm on fire. So
I don't know. Chat, you tell me, does this looks more like a drill to me, does it not? This doesn't look like a shuttlecock. This looks more like a drill.
Shuttlecock. And quite frankly, this is what that word should mean. I'm on fire. So one of these
like a sentinel from the Matrix
makes it to an egg and gets Charlotte all pregnant. And that brings us back to Oliver here. He doesn't look like much at this point, but probably a welcome respite from what you've been looking at for the past few minutes. Over the next 20 or so days, this little embryo has to build itself a body. Now, I'm sure you're familiar with this whole development process, but we'll have a little refresher. First, it sort of flattens out and then goes all pinchy-pinchy before transforming into a slightly toothed vagina. Then onto a Salvador Dali impression of SpongeBob before hitting the crucial stage of 2 squirrels humping. From here, as you know, it picks up a bit. Next, we have a goblin fondly admiring his new pet baby dragon into Oh How Sad the Dragon Flew Away, plus major side boob. But then, Oliver seems to take a keen interest into a certain part of his body, if you know what I mean. No, you don't, because look, it was just a hand grenade wrapped in tissue paper, you pervert.
Jesus.
And now he's on to you with your dirty mind. Look at that side eye. Then to it's still a side eye, but he's getting sleepy. And then he falls asleep and dreams that his belly button has become a fist. Now at this point, if you get a close-up on the face, sure, you might think that's a butthole of a sleeping ghost bear. Or maybe a gummy bear that's thinking,
"You brought me out of the bag just to give me a kiss, didn't you?"
The horror. But pay attention now. When it turns into a zombie testicle with a 5-head, you can see something interesting start to emerge. Right there, a little tooth. And if you look at the snout, Charizard, you can see it better. This little temporary tooth is very important because it will help the little baby break out of this. Look at that. Charlotte laid an egg and she put it in her pouch. Her pouch, by the way, is also temporary, forming just before breeding season. Like if your belly button only opened up when it wanted a grape. Now you want to put a grape in your belly button, don't you? Go ahead. Listen, if you're watching this show, you're obviously into learning, but you also want to have a bit of fun while you're doing it. And that pretty much sums up Brilliant's approach. Brilliant is where you learn by doing, with thousands of interactive lessons.
This one is this is an interesting one. He's starting off on the hardcore stuff. He's definitely starting off on the hardcore stuff early in this video. Didn't even give me a chance to prepare. Holy cow.
It's an election year and there's a lot of talk
about
data being thrown around.
Like, he usually doesn't jump into the sex stuff, like, immediately.
That use real-world data to help you see trends and spot ways that data can be manipulated. And you don't have to be an expert.
I'm at a loss. I'm really at a loss for how, how immediately he launched right into, let's make a baby and we're going to show you this thing's pee-pee.
Because it feels good to learn. You can pat yourself on the butt, back, wherever you want to pat.
I was not expecting this.
Brilliant has to offer for free for a full 30 days. Visit brilliant.org.
Oh no, this is going on YouTube, Becky.
Click on the link
if Z Frank can do it, I can do it.
Get 20% off an annual premium subscription. Give it a look today.
I
Brilliant
think
has
I'm
been a long-time sponsor of this show, and I'm a fan. Where were we? Oh, right. This egg is not hard like the egg of a bird. Instead, it's made of a tapestry of keratin-like fibers and is soft and leathery, which is more like the eggs of some reptiles. And when it's time to bust out, it's handy to have that little tooth. And there he is, for the first time in the open air, little baby Oliver.
It looks almost translucent. Like, holy crap. Look at this. It looks translucent. This is like something out of a horror movie. Like, when you see, like, even any other animal that hatches from an egg. This is kind of terrifying.
Now, not all echidnas are born into the smooth, outstretched fingers of a man's hand. We should all be so lucky. No, most of them hatch into what looks like the unkempt navel of a construction worker during a midsummer's heat wave. It is in this environment, somewhat reminiscent of pornography in the 1960s, that Oliver must search for his first meal. Now, you should know that what Oliver is looking for, well, more like smelling for, is called a milk patch. It's sort of what you might get if you tried to buy a discount nipple in a gas station parking lot. Just sort of skin that leaks. And you can't return it. Oh, sorry,
God.
didn't know you wanted a fancy nipple with a tip on it. It costs extra. So whatever childhood you had, I bet you weren't desperately holding on to pubic hair the diameter of your thumb, lapping at whatever oozed out some proto-nipple. God forbid you let go. Let's just say that pouch doesn't exactly have a ziplock on it. You know what you need right there is a good...
Yeah, this is like, oh, God. Like, this is like the most disgusting one that we've seen with Z Frank so far. Echidnas are Echidna, you nasty. You just nasty. I'm sorry. Oh, God.
Sphincter, keep the baby in. You can find those in the plumbing aisle of Home Depot. Soon, Oliver's head is reduced to a point with a single eye. Oh, what is he throwing up? Oh, that's the back end. All right. And so, I see, this part's the front. I mean, it's not that different. Anyway, not knowing
He's
much
not
else,
wrong.
Oliver stays in that pouch for quite some time. Maybe too long.
I mean, what's so crazy is like, and I'm guessing it's probably some similar relation in a species perspective. It looks similar to an anteater. Is this what Knuckles is based off of, Texas? Knuckles is based off of Echidna? Really? So this was baby Knuckles. Hi, Kendrick. So this was baby Knuckles. That explains so much. That does explain so much.
It's just my opinion, but by the end he sticks out like when you try and stuff a winter hat into the back pocket of your jeans. I mean, that's a life lesson right there. Some holes are nice for a while, but then you gotta move on. Now, you've probably heard them called all sorts of things. A hamster dressed up as an elephant, a tardigrade with Botox lips, or even sentient scrotum, which is downright offensive. But these beanie babies made from leftover elbow skin are called puggles. Get it right, and don't try this at home either. These are professional science hippies trained in rearing puggles, because once in a while they do fall out that air quotes pouch. At this stage, these puggles aren't exactly heavy on the defense, but you can start to see a 5 o'clock shadow form on their bodies. At this stage, these puggles are basically dumplings of the meadow and
Yeah, they look like they've gotta be related to anteaters on a genus level. They've gotta be. They look so much like them. I wonder if Z Frank is gonna mention it, but they absolutely look like it. They are Eki? Okay. Cause they absolutely look like them.
spend most of their time hiding out in burrows with their mummy.
Okay, Tybo.
Before they venture out into the world, they need to grow a spine. Well, a whole bunch of them, really. Get it? And that's what they do. The spines first come in as little bitty things, but before long they look like a field of number 2 pencils right before the harvest. Only after the spines have started to come in do echidnas develop little hairs in between them. Hairs with an inferiority complex. No, your job is just as important. Oh boy. By adolescence, echidnas look a bit like a militarized whoopee cushion. When they walk around, the spines can lay flat-ish, but if they get their curve on, it gets all pointy-pointy. Much of the body of the echidna has this sheath of muscle just under the skin called the panniculus carnosus. Flexing this muscle can move the spines and even point them in a particular direction. And they might do this to get some ventilation or to get some grippage down in a tunnel, or, of course, for defense. Echidnas, if you haven't noticed, don't exactly excel in the running department. So under threat, what they'll often do is wedge themselves into a tight space or dig down a little and ball up, like Oliver here. I didn't forget.
No, Cool Puppy, this is gonna go on YouTube. If Z Frankie put this on YouTube, this is my reaction to it's gonna go on YouTube for sure. There are a couple of them that won't make it to YouTube that are stream only. This is not one of them.
Now, you might be a bit sour on that bird there, picking on poor Oliver, but this is one of those don't judge a book by its cover situations. You know why? Because Oliver
Is this bird eating, like, lice off of the echidna? I've heard that, like some birds will eat, like, lice or mites or something off of other animals' backs. I wonder if that's what's happening here.
Decided to hunker down right next to a nest. And I get it, you don't want a pincushion next to the crib, not to mention the aesthetics. You got a southwest cactus thing going on right in the middle of a grassy front lawn. No wonder they're pissed. But it doesn't matter. That male bird can't do shit against Spiky. And you know mommy bird's giving him the what for. No, sure, don't get worked up, honey, he says. I'll get rid of it. Bullshit. I swear, if I have to pee in the middle of the night and come back and sit on that thing by accident, you can't do anything right. Now, with a defense like that, you might expect that echidnas would be pretty good at digging, and you wouldn't be wrong.
Yeah, were you seeing what this bird was doing over here, or was I blocking it? Hang on. This is why the birds were getting pissed. Hang on, let me move. Look what's going on over here.
The bird can't do shit against Spiky. And you know mommy bird's giving him the what for. No, sure, don't get worked up, honey, he says. I'll get rid of it. Bullshit. I swear, if I have to pee in the middle of the night and come back and sit on that thing by accident...
That's mommy sitting nesting on some eggs.
Now, with a defense like that, you might expect that echidnas would be pretty good at digging, and you wouldn't be wrong. They've got some good equipment, too. Curved claws on their front feet and some excellent technique. More of an off-to-the-side scoop. You don't get dirt on your nethers like a dog do. In fact, their whole body plan is a bit splayed out to the sides, like an alligator, for example. And their pelvic girdle, which is what connects your top half to your bottom half, is more similar to a reptile than to other mammals. And this arrangement can make it look like the echidna's feet are put on backwards. Lots of weird stuff. They also have a low body temperature. And these sorts of oddities and reptilian similarities lead some people to call echidnas primitive. Echidnas are monotremes, a group of mammals that took a different turn from the rest of us about 160 million years ago. You know how like rock, hip-hop, soul, and jazz all split off from the blues? Well, monotremes are like the jazz of mammalian evolution. Look at the echidna's closest living relative, the platypus. It's like Coltrane playing the song Rubber Ducky. But they've been evolving just as...
The platypus is the closest living relative. Well, I suppose given the biological nature where it lays eggs instead of gives live birth, I suppose I can see why then the platypus would be the closest living relative. Or the closest. Do they, Fenris? They glow under UV light?
As long as the rest of us, just doing it different. Sure, the backward feet can look a bit strange until you have to scratch your ass. They're perfect for it. Now who's primitive? Echidnas can also use those snouts to dig, and that's because that thing is solid, made out of their face bones. I mean, from the top, the skull looks like a bicycle seat just right for a naked man. Now,
Or it looks like a bad predator mask or a plague doctor mask. Tell me this does not look like a plague... Yeah, exactly, Bacter, that's what I said. This looks like a plague doctor mask. 100%.
You're thinking about it, aren't you? From the side, you can see it has a subtle curve to it. Well, they can use that thing like it's a pointy plow. But not like some ordinary gardening tool, it's fancy. The thing's like a metal detector, but for ants and termites. They've got these receptors on their snouts that can sense small changes in electrical fields. And listen, if you're an ant or a termite and get found out, you're gonna get the tongue. It's a long one, too. Chase you right down a hole. Your French kiss an echidna, you don't need a bidet. The tongue is covered in a sticky mucus that hauls insects to the back of the mouth. There they have two abrasive grinding surfaces, one at the base of the tongue and the other on the roof of the mouth. So when the echidna eats, it sounds like this.
That's a nice tongue you got there, echidna. You must be, real popular at the parties, huh? Hehehe.
To the tongue and the other on the roof of the mouth. So when the echidna eats, it sounds like this. Anyway, back to Oliver. Now that he's grown, Oliver will lead a fairly solitary life. But come on, what more do you want than some ants to eat, some birds to f with, and maybe a swim now and again? The exception is when Oliver gets horny.
Oh, they're good swimmers.
In breeding season, the females emit some stank that drives the males crazy. Male echidnas, as well as platypuses, have these little spurs on their back feet. The spurs are equipped with a venom gland. Platypuses use them to kick the crap out of each other during breeding season. Echidnas, not so much. Their spurs no longer stand up straight, and what used to be venom is now more of a benign, waxy, syphilitic drip, the scent of which apparently still has a role in mating. And instead of stabbing each other, they have a civilized approach. They queue up. Males will follow a female around in these trains that can get up to 10 males deep.
See, Freck. Freezing. I didn't say it. He said it.
It's like the polite Canadian version of the human centipede. I don't even know what that means.
What? Oh, God. Why would you even make that comparison? Oh my God. I mean, it was bad enough when he was talking about running a train. But then he brings a human centipede into the mix. Oh, no. See, Frank. Nancy Frank. Oh, God.
And this goes on for quite some time. It can be weeks before the female's ready to mate. And even then, she's only going to choose one or maybe a couple to mate with. A young echidna like Oliver doesn't stand a chance. And he knows it. Went home from the club early. He's going to have an Oliver night tonight. Maybe break out the watercolor set. Or masturbate. Probably looks like the fountains at Bellagio.
God!
It looks like one of those party blowers, but made from buttholes. Like a sausage octopus. That makes no sense. Like what's left when you try and take your fingers out of a latex kitchen glove. What you get when you ask AI to draw a baby's hand. Looks like how your feet feel after an evening in Jimmy Choo's.
Oh my God! Didn't say anything! Oh, see, Frick! God, see, Frick. God. Bassett, I think I should be able, I think I have plenty of palate cleansers available. Cause I have stockpiled.